we actually had someone hop into the comment section of one of our videos, and they actually asked us a very intriguing and interesting question. And they said, how would you communicate something that you may not agree with from your leadership or commander, but as the leadership team, you are supposed to be in sync with one another? And oh boy, this one is interesting. Kai, what are your initial thoughts? Just seeing the comment.
One, thank you for commenting. Like, this is awesome. Like, I love when we don't have to do the work to think of a topic and someone just gives it to us,
Yeah,
because that saves us so much time.
absolutely.
But for one, show your disagreement in private. Like that's my best piece of advice. No matter if you agree or disagree, if you want to talk about the specifics, do not do it in front of the team. Because imagine you've got a family. Imagine you've got to make a family decision, whether it's a move, it's a vacation, it's something. As parents and as spouses, don't throw each other into a bus. Like, don't raise your kids in a way where you're blaming each other for the decision. It's a direct reflection of any team. Like, if you're telling your kids, oh, it was mom's idea, it was dad's idea, like, I would have done it this way, like, you were creating inherent division. And that's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Money?
Man, first, well, let me start with what you just said, which is I'm 100% with you on that part. Like, I'm very much the type of person that, like, if we have a relationship, whether it's like friendship, romantic, whatever it is, like, I've always been a big believer in, hey, whatever's going on with us, we gonna keep within the four corners,
Mm-hmm.
like, of the room. Um, because I believe that there is something to be said about having genuine conversations with people, and which kind of gets to the my one of my points for this, which is understanding people's why. Like, when you're in a situation where maybe there's a disagreement, for me personally, understanding their why behind the decision helps a little bit, because you could be quick to jump to conclusions about why they may be doing something, or you start forming a stance without actually taking a moment to fully understand uh, your leadership's decision. So I would encourage anyone to one, ask like clarifying questions, dig deeper into that why, and because when you lead from a place of understanding rather than, say, like, assumption, you can really communicate with conviction,
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't entirely agree. And I've been in spots where, even once I knew why, I still didn't agree, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Um, but it's better to do that than to just kind of blindly, um, disagree, or to honestly blindly follow orders and not actually being aligned with the big picture. That is one for me. And then what I would say also is, like, it's okay, because I think sometimes we almost, I don't want to say like guilt trip, but we kind of in some ways feel guilty for disagreeing. But that's the purpose of having a team.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if you don't agree with your leader. Like, I want to start there. Like, it's okay if you disagree with them. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make them a bad person, because at the end of the day, something I've learned is just, like, everyone is trying to do what they believe is best,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, no one's making a bad, like, no one chooses to make a bad decision for the sake of making a bad decision. Like, people truly believe, hey, I think A, B, and C is the way to go. Well, I think it's D, E, and F, right? So just what I would say is just give people the benefit of the doubt. When you hear them out and you're trying to understand their why, please just don't make the assumption that, like, oh, they're just closed minded or they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
hear it. No, maybe they just truly believe that's the best way to go, and try to put yourself in their shoes. I wanted to get more from you on what you think.
No, I love the way you phrase that, because honestly, that disagreement is a superpower. Because you have to think, if you're part of a leadership team and you disagree and you've got that perspective and you ask those clarifying questions, when you hear members of your team disagree in the way that you did, now you know what your boss told you that helped you understand. You have tools to help them understand because you were them. You're not going to tell them that you were them because you don't want to split that team up. But it helps provide that insight that you can then relay and help get everybody on board.
What what I would even say, man, is because I want to assume like maybe you have a leader that you just can't agree with, like man, Sarge, Mike, like Sarge, Kai, like I've tried to listen to this person, I try to understand their why, and I just can't run with what they're talking about. Maybe I don't feel like they're as competent, right, as I feel like they should. What I would say to that is, okay, well, at least when you guys are out, when you're with your leadership, when you're around people that are under you and things like that, what I would say is make sure that you guys are a unit though when you're on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't allow the people under you to see that frustration,
Oh
which
yeah.
can be hard at times, which can be hard. But something I personally try to do is, hey, anything that I have a problem with, I'm leaving it at the door.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm leaving it at the door. I'm leaving it in my car because at the end of the day, man, you're the people under you, they see everything. They see everything, regardless if they say it or not. And unity is key. It's so important. It doesn't mean you're going to agree 100% on everything, but you do have to find common ground by focusing on at least on your shared goals and your shared values um, when it comes to that decision. And so that'll kind of like reframe the conversation from what I think to this is how it aligns to the mission. This is how it aligns to our team, our organization, and our goals. Right. So I think sometimes just communicating from a place of shared purpose can make even tough messages or situations feel a little bit more authentic and a little bit more aligned,
Oh
in my
yeah.
view.
And one last piece with that, like you have the shared goal, you have the shared purpose. When you're making the decision, understand whose decision is it to make,
Mm,
because we can all be
yeah.
like couch quarterbacks. Like we've seen it during college football season.
Yeah.
Like you're blaming the head coach for XYZ, but you're not them.
Mm,
And you, with your zero football experience, might think that you know how that play should have gone. It's not your decision to make. It's just not. You can disagree. I understand they're trying to do it for the best. It's their decision, and you have to let them roll with it. So they got conviction behind it. Doesn't matter what you think.
yeah. I mean, if we can be honest though, um, sometimes we don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes we don't have all the information. Like sometimes leaders are making decisions or they're making moves or there are adjustments and shifts happening, and it's because they have information that we don't have. And sometimes it is a strictly need to know, and we're not supposed to know on
Mm-hmm.
what that is. And that's why, trusting the team is important. Again, I will be the first to tell you, I trust in me. It's a struggle. It's been a fight since I was born, right? But it is something that's important. It is something that you're going to need if you plan on moving forward, if you plan on your team being successful,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And it doesn't mean that your leader won't give you all the information, right? It doesn't, like, at some point. Um, it's just that sometimes in leadership as a manager, sometimes they have to make decisions that are simply business and it's not personal. Sometimes there's information that they know that is just strictly business and it's not personal. And just taking that into account so that we don't walk around feeling entitled or just assuming that we feel we should know everything or be a part of every decision. Going back to your point about, hey, who's making the final call? Like, remind yourself of who actually makes the final call. And I think that in those conversations, when I talked about authenticity earlier, I think humility is in that too. I think sometimes we forget that the people making decisions, whether we agree with them or not, they're human.
Yeah.
They're human, and they're making the best decision based off what they know. Just like we've made decisions because we felt like that was the best thing to do off of our experiences, based off our knowledge. And there were times that people gave us realistic advice or inspiration or motivation or whatever it is to make the right decision, and we still slipped up.
Mm-hmm.
So humility matters because if I can be humble when I disagree with you, then that means even if you mess up, I can still be humble and show you grace and not throw it in your face and go, huh, see my idea, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's not going to help the team. That's not going to help the team. So, yeah, man, I think that all those things I think could be helpful in that type of situation. But it is tough. I'll admit, especially depending on what your situation is in that disagreement, it can be tough. It can be tough.
Absolutely, man. We start with the audience. Let's end it with the audience. For those out there, name a time that you disagreed with your team or your leaders. How did you respond? What did you do? Like, please let us know and be honest. Was it good? Was it bad? Do you regret it? Would you do it again? Throw another comment out there and we'll talk about it maybe next time.
Spill the tea. Don't
Yeah.
hide it. Spill the tea.